Hey, what's up? So, I want to do just like a little Facebook thing since I'm getting fucking sick and tired of having to reply on Facebook. So, I'm going to make a video and we can go from there. So, I want to go about what made me leave the Black Lives Matter movement, the BLM movement, right? I was a huge supporter, been a supporter for, you know, fucking years, man. I was a supporter before it was a movement, right? Like I've seen it, right? I've driven around with black people in my car, been pulled over for no other reason than there's fucking black people in my car. The officer takes me around back, tells me, hey, you know, if you just tell us where he's got the drugs, you know, we'll cut you a deal. You're gonna leave. You're not even gonna go to jail. You just gotta tell us where he stashed it, right? And I'm, what the fuck, dude? And you know, he's not a known drug dealer or anything like that. Like fucking, I mean, we smoked some weed together, right? Like we smoked a ton of weed together. But guess who had to get the fucking weed? Guess who was selling the weed? The fucking white guy. So while I'm standing there with him, telling him that there's nothing there, I got a fucking quarter pound of weed stuffed down my pants. Fucking trying to keep my heart rate regulated and trying to control my breathing while trying to talk to him and fucking. I mean, it wasn't easy because it wasn't all that hard to talk to him because I didn't really have to lie, right? He was trying to get the drugs off the black guy. I had the drugs. He didn't have the drugs. Drugs weren't in the car. I told him that over and over and over again. I'm like, dude, he doesn't have anything. Like the car, it has nothing in it. If you really want, you can go ahead and fucking search it, right? So like he pulls him out and just gets him to do the, you know, convinces him that it's in his best interest to fucking be searched and to run his name and, you know, just violate his Fourth Amendment rights all the way around because of the color of his skin. Witnessed it, seen it. So I've been against this kind of policing, right? I'm not saying that police are bad, and I'm not, you know, it's not a Black Lives Matter or Blue Lives Matter kind of thing. It's fucking, you know, all lives matter, but when one specific kind of life is being targeted over another one by bad people who get into positions of power, then it is a racial fucking movement. It is. You know, but it is bad people. It's not a systemic thing, and that's where they're going wrong too. Is that they're fucking protesting every goddamn police department. How many fucking police departments do you know, precincts do you know, that have damn good cops in them? They're good guys. They come around all the fucking time. They do their community stuff. They're, you know, when they're crowd controlling during Christmas time and everybody's fucking over getting a picture with Santa and shit like that, you can stand there and bullshit with him, right? Because he's a guy just like you, or a girl just like you. You know, it's the same goddamn thing. It's not, you know, he's not evil because he became a police officer, right? Like some evil people become police officers, and that's an issue. You know, you need to reform the union so that you can get these guys out. And I don't know if you've ever tried to fire a union guy, but it's goddamn impossible. So especially when you have a union with so much power like the police station, right? And then you got your local representatives that are going to be doing the main talking for you, so you can't call the whole thing like in support of bad officers, because they're not. If you had one precinct out of a whole bunch that was really bad, and you know the reports kept coming in about these officers reported by other officers that had to, you know, cross precincts in order to be able to work together, and they go, hey, I'm gonna file a report about this guy over in this precinct because, man, he fucked up, right? Like you're much more likely to be heard because his union rep is probably a little bit better, right? Like, you know, if he finds that nothing happened and he's in a good precinct, so he's not getting bullied by his fellow officers afterwards, you know, they'll move up the chain of command and get it done. It's happened. It has. You can look it up. You know, I'm not going to drop a whole bunch of fucking quotations and, you know, videos and shit down below because I'm not all that fucking technologically. But what I do have is I have a small little list, right? So systemic racism. It's not systemic. You got to stop calling it systemic. You got to stop coming in and saying that these are systems that are inherently racist, because it's just the wrong definition, right? There's systemic poverty, absolutely. There have been plenty of things put into place that, as in laws and laws and practices that are, systemically, that leads to systemic poverty. Okay, like school funding, gerrymandering, business incentives. Like there's a whole list of it, right? Zoning things. There's a whole lot of systemic poverty. It's not geared towards race. It doesn't matter the race. When you go in for a loan, they're not, what pops up on the fucking manager screen who doesn't see you is not your race. That's not the first thing that's going to pop up. Is like, oh, this black guy is looking for a loan. No, it's going to go, this guy's looking for a loan. His credit history is this. His his assets are this. His the reasoning is this. This is what they're going to see. They're going to see numbers. They're going to see data. They're not fucking looking at your goddamn race. So to be like, oh, it's systemic racist is dumb. Not only that, but like the police stations. How many precincts are policed by black people policing black people, right? You're going to call that racism? That those black guys are self-hating black guys, so they join the police force so they can beat up other black guys? No. And then when you really dive into it and you look at the brutality rates and things, reports of brutality, videos of brutality that are available, like the videos are mainly all black people are filming black people being beat up by cops. But if you look at the reports and whatnot, and shooting of unarmed people, the whole lot, white people are kind of ahead in that, right? So like, and I'm talking about brutality. I'm not talking about laws, because you have previous systemic racism that is still carried over, right? So it turned from systemic racism to systemic poverty, right? So yeah, they're like, okay, we can no longer discriminate to you against the color of your skin, so we'll do it by the income, right? Well, that's affecting multiple cultures all over. Okay, and then policing in the areas that are most struck by systemic poverty have huge huge police presence, a huge crime rate, which don't act like a cop's job is easy, because it is not. You got to deal with the worst people that you've ever met. They got to deal with them every goddamn day, all day long, right? Because you're never calling the cops because that mediocre guy over there is causing problems. That's not what's going on. It's somebody robbed you, somebody's breaking into something, somebody's open fire somewhere, somebody's doing something bad, and that's most of their calls, right? So they wind up on these on most of the day dealing with the very worst of people, and that can do very bad psychological things to you, and they don't have the proper training for it, and there's not a continuation of proper training, right? Like, so they have these updates and things, like they have all kinds of training that they mandatorily have to do, but then there's a bunch of other further classes and training that they can volunteer for, but it's not mandatory. And and so you have officers who are just not trained to be able to cope with it, not just in not how to deal with the public, but how to cope with themselves having to deal with this stuff all the day. When a body has to be put into a body bag, that's not medics doing it. Most often it's the cops who are first on scene. They're responded to this, they've called it into the paramedics to get them down there, right? Like what to expect when they get there, right? So like, police are the first ones dealing with these things, right? You're going to tell me that if you came up and there was a 12-year-old boy shot by a drive-by, or an 8-year-old child, like what happened over in Chicago, if you're the first responder on team, right, or on site, you're that officer that just showed up. You got this child who, you know, might still be alive when you got there, right? And they're pleading for their life. They're you know, dying in front of you, and this is just a small innocent child. Doesn't matter the race. He's not looking at their race. He's seeing a small child that could be playing with his daughter or his son. You know, a kid just like his own. And they see that, and then, you know, and what was the cause for it? Well, a drive-by shooting by some gang member who didn't give a shit. Right? Well, where's that gang member live? Oh, he lives in this impoverished area. Right? Where I'm always getting calls, where I'm always dealing with shots fired, where I'm always, like, when I show up, I'm getting bad mouthed, I'm getting stared down, they're calling me a piece of shit, they're throwing things at me. And this is, you know, this is daily life for them. And then you get really, really pissed off at them when, you know, the system is not built to help them in their mental state, and to keep following up to ensure that they are fit for duty. You know, instead of any of that, no, you just continue throwing them in the same fucking shit day after day after day, 14, 16 hours a fucking day, right? Like, you have some officers that went in with bad intentions. I totally get it. But this went from what made me leave Black Lives Movement to fucking systemic racism. You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna post this bitch anyway, but I'm gonna start the fuck over so I can really, I gotta shorten this shit down, right? I gotta go bullet point, get it done fucking like 5 minutes. So I'll be back.